I'm Michael McClenaghan, and I'm with Collaborative Community Coaching, and this is.
Allison Jones.
Uh, we've started an approach, I think about 18 years ago, called C3, Collaborative Community Coaching, and it's the central core part of it was values based. We also integrated an approach to teaching basic movement skills to children and youth. So we've kind of married the two, the development of skills along with having values at the center of the sport and recreation experience. It's actually kind of a broader look at integrating values. Sport's the main area or the main arena where we've focused our project, but it also extends, as I mentioned, into recreation and the education system.
And we've had a number of programs we've been involved with and facilitated over the years in schools in the Vancouver region, um, provided training workshops at various locations across the country, and we enjoy continuing to do so. And my husband's currently working on a book that expresses the tools and techniques that we use in the content.
It's great for us to be here today because we work with many of the organizations that are here, such as the Canadian Association of Coaches and Sport Canada, True Sport. When True Sport was being developed, we were involved with helping to train people that were going to be involved with True Sport, and also did some training and workshops with the Center for Ethics. So we just ran into Brian Merritt, and it's really neat to see some old friends here after kind of being away from them for over a decade.
CSC now for about sort of 4 months, and one of the things that I find really striking is there's a very strong commonality across all of the speakers. Like there's a very strong values set that exists, and yet for some reason there's still a bit of a gap or a void somewhere in bridging all the pieces. So there's a lot of commonality, but it's complex at the same time. And I think for me, it's look at that and see how do you bridge all of the different aspects that we're talking about together in more of a common front.
Building on what Mark just said, I think there's a high level of commitment to do something, but people don't know what to do. So, like even when you asked David, he really didn't have any kind of concrete suggestions around. And maybe that's unfair to think that he might, but he must have had to deal with some very challenging social issues during his 7-year tenure, and so getting some practical advice around what we do is, I think, really important over the next day or so.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's connected, just in their own space. Like everyone is needing to move and needing to develop and implement a stronger value-based sports system. Nobody's debating that. Otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? But knowing what to do is, I think, harder. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Sure. I mean, I would just building on that. I would say that I think that is the challenge in terms of trying to figure out how do we go forward from here, because there is that commonality, there is that shared purpose, but in some ways it seems to me it's a little like I don't know, the environmental movement, where there's all these different ways in which people can jump into the environmental movement, but it still gets connected by something called the environmental movement, even though different people might be contributing different ways. Or the feminist movement, similarly, right? So I don't know if this is akin to that or not, but somehow some common platform, some common language, something that connects all of this in a unified way is something we need coming out of this, I think, so that we can continue to pursue this shared purpose, but in a coordinated and complementary, reinforcing way, as opposed to all doing it in our own little way in our own little spaces.
It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like when he talked about innovation being better,
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
That was great. That's
Yeah.
Like that was a big.
I'm Denise. I work at Gymnastics Canada in coach education. So I'm also a coach personally. I think coaches are really integral to sport. They can create an amazing culture for athletes. So that's where we want to start, is trying to integrate values-based sport into coach education so we can teach these coaches how to embrace values-based sport and create the best sport experience for the athletes.
Hi, my name is James Carson. I'm a teacher, a K-8 physical education teacher at Birchview Dunes in Wasaga Beach, Ontario. Value-based sport to me is the critical portion of all. The reason why kids participate in sport. We want to make sure that participation in sport is fun, it's equitable, it's fair, it's inclusive, and the Character Through Sport program that I implemented tries to incorporate all of those values. I see it in the kids every year that I coach, I referee, I teach in class, out of class, on the field, off the field. To try and instill these values, these important values in our kids, not only to as athletes, but as student athletes as well. And it's a very rewarding program, Character Through Sport, and the kids enjoy the program. It's very impactful for them, very important for them, and it resonates not only through the kids, but through our staff and our school community and our families and our parents as well. So this is a very important symposium to be a part of, and I'm hoping to take as much as I can back to Wasaga Beach, all that I've learned here, and try and make the program continually better as the years go on.
There, start again. Brian Merritt, I'm a director with the RA Center. I'm a board member with the Ottawa Gloucester Hornets, and I coach soccer and hockey in Orleans. So what's values-based sport to me? Well, it's making sure that every child, player that participates in sport in my organizations is safe, happy, having fun, and connected to the environment that we're trying to facilitate around supporting their development in sport. So for me, True Sport Values is just a way of doing sport. It's not something that you have to think about. It's something that you are, something that you do, and something that you participate and encourage others to do in their communities, in their sport experience.
Go ahead.
Well, I think values-based sport is about returning to the founding values of sport that were there when sport was created, and it evolved over time and created depth and intensity, but they're still true to the original founding values. And our task, I think, is to re-engage our relationship to those founding values by ensuring that they are the pillars of the sport experience that athletes experience in Canada. Because I think that the parents of Canadian youth and children know what they expect from the sport experience. The athletes coming into sport know what they expect, and that experience needs to be based upon those founding values, and we've lost that attention to that connection.
Okay, Tino, so tell me what you're taking away from today, what you've learned.
I think one of the main aspects is that change doesn't happen by accident. And I'm sure that some things happen like that, but we need to be intentional, we need to be thoughtful, and there needs to be a method in how we implement, how we think about being creative and be different, and how sport recreation activities are accessible and available for all Canadians throughout every town, every city, every little household throughout our beautiful country. We need to be more creative and thoughtful about that.
And Tino, how are you going to commit with the University of Winnipeg? How are you guys committing to advancing values-based sport?
We have a history of being part of value-based sport. I personally have been working with the True Sport Foundation for about 10 years. So when we develop new policies, new strategies, and look at what we do from the big picture, those values are already part of our thinking and our visioning. So, when we have policies, when we implement new thinking, new program, those values are incorporated into it. Many people don't know that that's what it is, and that's great because for them it's just a natural way of doing things, and that's the best thing that we do. Now it's sharing that with all of our partners, with the stakeholders, any funders, anyone that comes through our door to make sure that they understand that this is very important and that it's life changing, not just for the kids, but for the parents, the coaches, everybody. So, yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so I wanted to talk to Kalachu from EarCom about a few things that I've heard him talk about over the last few months regarding newcomers in sport. And one of them is about the need for the sport experience in a child and how that is so important in their development and their coming to Canada.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sport is for newcomer children especially. Sport is the only venue or avenue for them to actually feel like they're a child. When they arrive to Canada, there's a lot of changes that they go through, and it's kind of a new trauma that they're experiencing, especially from the refugee background. They have to be entered in an education system that really doesn't really conform to them. At home, there's conflict mainly because there's a switch in the gender roles in terms of the mother tends to be the one who can get employment first, and the father is kind of left unemployed, and it creates a family dynamic where it's unhealthy. And also, the youth and children are also one of the first people in the family to grasp the language. So they are thrown into situations where they have to translate really big and sometimes tragic news to the family members that a child shouldn't be doing that. So the one avenue or venue where they can actually feel like a child is through sport, and through that they can build their confidence and actually have a feeling of having a child in a new land. And one of the biggest barriers that we face in Winnipeg is that there's a lot of systems in place and structures in place that have been established for a long time that don't cater to these individuals and these children and families. And these youth are ripped away from that opportunity to have that sport experience, that positive sport experience. And I think the effects of that are great, where it can affect their mental health. They don't have that sense of anything really being a safe place or safe haven for them. They're kind of lost, and it creates, the most common aspect is they tend to go towards positive, negative experiences like gangs and other things, and it really creates a bad sense of what their new environment is, and it creates a distance between them and their local environment, and the integration process is kind of stopped right there.
Yeah.
So sport can play a really big part, and hopefully we can change those systems and structures in place in other places across Canada, including Winnipeg as well.
Okay, so that's really good, and I think that's a really important perspective for people to understand. The other one that you've talked about is sort of often when we have these meetings, we talk about parents, and there's sort of an assumption around the parent role, and mainstream sport people understanding that the newcomer parent, how that role is different, and what should mainstream sport people understand about that.
So it's funny when I come to these conferences, you hear one of the biggest things is the role of bad parent behavior at sport games. Well, for a lot of newcomer children and youth, their parents are unable to attend any of their games. They have really no connection to them at all when it comes to sport. They don't have the means to pay the financial cost of the game. They don't have the means to drive them to and from practices, to and from games. They don't have the means to really even come and support them in any aspect of the game. Really, sport is something where the parents just see as a thing where they can just go do for fun, but they don't really take it as a very serious thing. And sometimes systems and structures and individuals in these systems and structures kind of take advantage of it, where then they make decisions that they think could be positive, that may be related to negative aspect to the parent and child relationship, right?
Can you give me an example of that?
Well, sometimes you have situations where eager volunteers or eager people are making decisions on behalf of a child in terms of sports while not considering or concentrating with the parent in question, and it creates a new conflict between the parent, the child, and then usually the sports provider, and that also creates a sense of where this child is then being taken away from sport because of that conflict, right? So there's no real consultation, guidance, or parent involvement. So at Aircom, we try to involve them as best as we can. We rent school buses for parents to come and watch all the games for the children and youth who are playing at. We take them along. We actually give them contracts that they be abiding by, where the parents understand that they have an academic expectation as well as a sporting expectation if they play sports with us. So, and there's also the regular checkups where we do weekly cold calls to different parents just to see how things are going. So keeping them involved in different ways.
So I think that that's a really important one. I remember when we first started our program, we're at a community center, but during the program, the community center was locked. And a comment what I made was, where do the kids go to the washroom, right? And there weren't any washrooms, but there was assumption made that the parents were there and could drive them to the Tim Hortons, and we had 35 kids. So of course, somebody from Immigration Partnership Winnipeg or a house just happened to be there, and other kids went behind the building, but that's not appropriate. So it's just these assumptions that everyone's driving their child, everyone can drop whatever they're doing and take their children to whatever. So this is another important factor. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your experience. Very important stuff. Thank you.